G'day there guys, typically eats food suitable for more than 4 people here. It's your main man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the A-hole? Now if you right there, I'm looking at you. If you love today's bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and have a bloody good time. Thank you. Posted by user ThrowawayQJWNN. Titled, Am I the A-hole for telling my wife to calm down because my mum's just trying to help? So my wife, 35 female, gave birth to our son a couple months ago. Since then, she's become a zombie-like in personality and appearance. I found out for the first time how bad it is to be up close to somebody who is out in the Arizona heat doing errands and chores, who also doesn't shower for 3 days straight. When I try to talk to her, she's always passed out in front of the TV or by our son's crib and crying. When we try and go out in public together or want to go for a swim in our pool, she always wears very much laundry day clothes, and even when we're by the pool, she just dips her feet in and wears a 10-year-old sweatshirt over her swimsuit. It's really killed the love, tolerance, and attraction between us. My mum visited us today, and my wife was wearing boxy old clothes that have all kinds of fluids on them. My mum said the baby was sleeping right now and suggested my wife go take a shower and get into clothes that are more pleasant. My wife said she's fine. My mum patted her on the back and said that her hair is so stringy and that can't be good for anyone, and asked when the last time she had a shower was. She said that she used to always smell so good and be dressed so well, and that she could make more of an effort. She ended with, taking care of your appearance doesn't stop when the kids come. My wife got exceptionally upset and accused me of side-eyeing her stretch marks when she wore her old dresses. She then left the room and said she was taking a nap. My mum said she sees she's not welcome right now, and I told her to not be ridiculous, and this was my house too, and I wanted her to stay. I went to where my wife was and told her that my mum wasn't exactly wrong in noticing how she's basically given up on herself, and that she used to love doing and styling her previously long and shiny hair and getting compliments for it. I also said that my mum was almost ready to leave, and we should never make my mum feel unwelcome when she's just trying to be helpful. My wife snapped that my mum could do whatever she wants, and then started crying and saying that she wanted to nap. Am I the a-hole? Jesus, all you talk about is how ugly your wife is and how all she does is care for your kid, and she can't handle all the work that she does, yet you don't seem to be offering any good solutions for her here. All you care about is yourself and keeping your mother healthy and happy. It seems like you've created an unhealthy dynamic between yourself and your wife. Like, who cares what she wears? Who cares if she looks bad sometimes? People are allowed to wear what they want. Partners should care about the health and well-being of their significant others, not attack them for being in a slump. I'd be surprised if she stays with you, honestly. You sound insufferable. You're the a-hole. Now in the comments, Mekity Moo says, Info. How much of the childcare are you doing? What other support has your wife got? Does she have family around? Does she get time apart from when your child naps to do stuff? Because if the child is napping but no one else is watching, she's still on duty. Who watches the baby when she showers? Your mother just told your wife that she wasn't doing a good job. Your wife sounds devastated by the changes in her body, exhausted and possibly suffering from PND. Perhaps she needs someone to be kind to her. And OP replies, my mum told me that she also had a bit of postpartum, but she got through it partly by taking care of herself and making an effort to be presentable in public. That's not how PPD works. Your mum isn't helping, she needs to go. My mum said the exact same thing to me. You don't know what's going through her head. Sometimes a simple dress-up doesn't fix it. This is why women are scared to say anything. That's why I was scared to say anything. You're the a-hole. Please encourage your wife to speak with a professional because this sounds like postnatal depression. Also, do you have any idea how draining it is looking after a newborn baby? Appearance isn't exactly top of the priority list. How much do you do to parent your child? Or is it that you work, therefore all care is your wife's responsibility? It sounds like you have no idea how tough this time is for a new mum. OP replies, my mum also had postpartum years ago, and she said having a schedule and taking pride in yourself is a great way to snap out of depressive states. I'm just asking my wife to at least make herself more presentable. No? Get your wife to the doctor now. PPD is no joke and can turn very serious. You're the a-hole for not supporting your wife. Why can't she call the doctor herself? Do I have to reintroduce the concept of an iPhone to her now? What happens to the babies who don't cry? They don't get fed. Same concept. Do you even like your wife? Not when she's not a hole he can stick his mother lover into. Oh, come on. Info. How much the childcare are you doing, and does your wife get a chance to shower and sleep? And OP replies, my wife seems to be under the impression that there's this conspiracy to mummy track her at work. So I'm working a lot. But yes, she, like everybody else, can squeeze in 15 minutes for a shower. I have friends who are bankers and work 80 plus hours a week, and they can stay dressed to the nines and smell perfectly good. Did those bankers just give birth? Your wife is clearly suffering from PPD. Get some damn empathy for the woman you supposedly love. OP replies, bankers can't be mothers? Don't be obtuse. We're not talking about women who go back into the workforce after having kids. His comparison is not relevant because those bankers working 80 hours a week obviously didn't go from the hospital popping out a baby, then right back to the office. Your wife just had a baby and is clearly suffering from PPD. OP replies, but let's be real, those bankers unequivocally have less time to shower than my wife does. Jesus effing Christ, dude. Your wife is at serious risk of suicide and you don't seem to give an F. She's severely mentally unwell and she needs your support and compassion, not your judgmental a-holery. It sounds like you do literally nothing to help her with the baby or the household, and you clearly don't give an F about her. And last two comments just because it gets worse. Info. Do you even love or care about your wife? Because according to your incredibly disgusting responses, you only care about how effable she is. I hope she divorces you. That way you can keep masturbating to your mother. Edit. You're the a-hole and one of the worst I've ever seen in this subreddit. And OP's reply, you may not believe it, but I loved her passionately in our 20s when we got married. But now I just keep looking at her and feel a deep sense of disappointment that I cannot see the woman I married. We've had talks about it, and I just can't feel the love anymore. Believe me, I long to be able to love her, but I cannot. I can't help the feelings of disgust and resentment towards her, even though she had my child. I can only be polite to her by reminding me that she is the mother of my kid, but as a lover, it's gone. I can't help it, and I don't think I can hide it from her. The only people I can talk about it with are some of my other guy friends, but even then, we're all deeply ashamed. Posted by user NeatAd4355, titled, Am I the a-hole for screaming at the teacher that has been terrorizing my son? Now, my son, 16 male, takes one of the hardest subjects in the entire school. I'm going to say it for obvious reasons, but it is very important for his career path. Now, the teacher who teaches this subject is a senior teacher, which essentially means that unless she assaults a student to within an inch of his life, she's all but untouchable. From what I had heard prior to my son starting this year, she's a teacher with a reputation of getting kids great grades. After hearing my son and a couple of peers talk about her, she is truly something different. Essentially, if you're a naturally gifted student who gets everything on the first try, has lots of time and good time management skills, she will love you. She'll crack jokes, give you special treatment like clearance for specific experiments, which she won't give other students. She'll allow extra time for questions from these students and is an overall angel to them. However, if you're a student who doesn't get everything at first glance, you may as well spit in her face. She will scream at you for 15 minutes for getting a question wrong, she'll send you out of her class in a second for even daring to speak out of turn in her class, and she'll call you out in the front of the whole class constantly if you're a bad student. My son is unfortunately not a great student, and failed the first test. Not for lack of trying. He's been staying up till 12 to study, and we've even gotten him a tutor. Something which this teacher has given him crap for. Now, she typically views tuition as a waste of money and called me into the school to tell me to stop sending him for tuition and that all she does would be enough if he simply revised and studied. Thing is, he never really learns anything because half of the lesson in the class is spent screaming at a student of the class as a whole and the other half is spent learning. If you don't understand on the first try, she scares the students into not even asking her to explain it again. I told her we would not be stopping him from tuition, but didn't outline the reasons. She kept on pushing until eventually she pushed me hard enough that I started yelling at her, telling her about how my son has been coming home every day and barely eating, barely sleeping, surviving on coffee to simply pass her class. I literally haven't seen him smile at all since he started this class, and it scares me. I ended up saying some not so nice things, and while most of the other parents are on my side, some have told me I was way out of line. If the teacher truly is as much of a piece of flaming hot garbage as you make them out to be, where they'll humiliate students for half the lesson to the detriment of everyone else, then yeah, I'm on your side for that one. For them to tell you not to get extra help for your child, whilst also not doing their duty as a teacher and then mentally attacking and breaking down the child, they are absolutely the a-hole for that. However, I know your heart was in the right place when you went in talking to them through it, and it seems that they did push you to where you ended there. I don't think screaming at this person and unloading a litany of harsh insults like you did was the right thing to do though. This probably won't get the desired outcome from the teacher that you'd expect. It also doesn't look good or reflect well on you as a parent in the wider parenting community of the school. I'm gonna have to go with everyone sucks here. I don't condone the actions of either of you guys in this situation, but I understand why it happened. Now in the comments, Right Math says, a lot of this reads as hyperbole. I'd be interested to hear the teacher's perspective, since this is written in a way to justify your actions as much as possible. Of course you're coming off as not the a-hole. Yeah, you can't have it both ways, OP. The teacher is truly something different and gets kids great grades, yet no one learning anything in class because of all the yelling. Actually, most of this makes sense if the kid is in a JEE coaching class in India. It's often the way that they teach, and through sheer effort, the children do end up getting good grades in standardized exams. This is the way my uni worked as well. It's known for its students getting great grades or dropping out. The teaching is horrifically bad, but the students bust their asses teaching themselves the material and therefore get good grades. One employer I interviewed at said they loved hiring students from my uni because they're great at teaching themselves the work. Webby Vanderquack says, everyone sucks here. You're both screaming, but when she does it, it's terrorizing, and when you do it, it's justice. My son has been coming home every day and barely eating, barely sleeping, surviving on coffees to simply pass her class. Then take him out of that class. Out of the school if necessary. It is very important for his career path. He's 16. His physical and mental well-being are more important than his career path. This isn't just about pressure from his teacher, it's also about pressure from himself, his parents, or both. I agree. It sounds as if OP's son is struggling in school as it is. Lack of sleep and food will not help that at all. Will it be worth it in a few months and years' time when he potentially fails his final exam, meaning that all that stress and time was wasted? And OP letting him survive on coffee and no sleep doesn't exactly make him look good. I'm 18, and at 16 I was struggling with anxiety and depression for various reasons. Whatever the reason, you cannot put your son's important class before his mental health. I had to delay taking important classes myself to focus on my health, and you know what? It's fine. The teacher is not going to let your son off the hook after you yelled and insulted them. You've basically beaten a dead horse. Posted by user FairVanilla5626, titled, Am I the a-hole for planning family vacations that my sister-in-law can't afford? So I come from a large family with 2 sisters and 2 brothers. My younger brother got married in college, and they both dropped out and moved to LA to try and make the acting and singing thing work, which failed by the way. They now work as bartenders and do some music tutoring on the side. My family has this tradition of going on a big summer and winter vacation every year. We pick cool places that we want to visit, and it's always a good time. Our kids love them. However, younger brother and sister-in-law can never afford these vacations, and my father refuses to help him out because he's always disappointed in him. This year, after the pandemic ends, we were planning on going to Japan and Iceland for our 2 vacations. My sister and I get really excited about planning these and posted about it in our family group chat. My sister-in-law talked to us about it during Christmas and said that she was hurt that she could never come on these things and asked if there was some kind of way to bring the cost down for them. I told her I didn't think it was very fair of her to ask my entire family and our children to get worse accommodation and lessen the quality of our vacations just to make her happy, or for her to ask us to help her pay for the vacation when they already go to my parents multiple times a year because they're falling behind on rent money. The rest of my family pretty much agreed with me, and sister-in-law and little brother got pissed at us and went no contact again, which usually lasts a couple of months till they come crawling back to my father about needing some cash. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Some people have been saying we should do a cheap domestic trip with them. We already get together at my parents' beach house for Thanksgiving and Christmas, so I'd think that would count. Apart from that, a lot of us work in corporate, so when we do use our PTOs, we want to use them towards something we want, not something sister-in-law can afford like Yosemite National Park. None of us like camping, and we like to travel and explore the world. I don't know why we have to compromise because of her bad life decisions. I don't have much to say about this one, other than you sound like a terrible person, and it's probably better they don't go on vacation with you. They don't make as much money as you, therefore they're not valuable, and that makes them less than? Righto, OP. You must be fun at parties. You're the a-hole. Now in the comments, Anelissandra says, You're the a-hole. This whole thing reeks of privilege. Wow. Yup, and I would say a double a-hole for what OP said about Yosemite. 10-1, they will visit nature preserves, national parks, and national wonders when they visit other places. I sort of see where OP is coming from here. I only get 2 weeks off a year, and I don't want to spend that time off at parks here in Canada. I'd much rather go to places like Europe or Africa. I think both perspectives are valid. I'm Canadian and love traveling in Canada, but because it's actually really expensive to fly domestically, and I also love exploring the world, I do both. What bothers me about this is that OP seems unwilling to consider that her bro and sister-in-law have made totally valid life choices that didn't work out well, and is punishing them for essentially being unlucky. Edit. To those people commenting below, your positions are valid. But also consider there are lots of people who have degrees and yet still fail at their chosen profession, so they end up in a similar position while also being thousands of dollars in debt. I agree that OP's brother and sister-in-law didn't set themselves up for success as best as they can, but luck and privilege also play a lot into success. I also don't think people should be punished for taking a risk and that risk not working out. It's not like they're unemployed and thieving to make ends meet. They just can't afford the same vacations that OP wants to take, and OP's attitude towards their situation is decidedly non-compassionate. But is dropping out of college to go and try out acting and music in LA a well-thought-out choice, or an impulsive one? I'd think studying your craft to become a professional at a school that you've already enrolled in, even if it isn't a school known for that discipline, and coming out of it with a bachelor's degree, which you could use to get a better paid job if acting and music didn't pan out right, might be a better option since you'd already put in some time. I guess what I'm trying to say, and this goes for any field, is that there's a difference between setting yourself up for success by putting in hard work and not. OP's post reads as though it was impulsive, and their family didn't appreciate the lack of effort that went into it. Gatita Monster says, "You're the a-hole. Your whole family is, except your younger brother and sister-in-law. Choosing creative careers that make them happy doesn't make them failures. They're bartenders during a frickin' pandemic. Of course they're struggling, just like millions of other hardworking people. You don't have to help pay for them, but your refusal to choose a less expensive trip for at least one of those vacations shows that you clearly value fancy vacations over family and compassion. I'd say those values are just out of whack, and I'm really sorry that your poor kids are learning such selfishness from you at the expense of forming childhood memories with their aunt and uncle. Edit, you would not be compromising because of their bad life decisions. They didn't make any. Choosing careers that make them happy is not a bad decision. You should be compromising because excluding a family member from a family vacation is a crappy thing to do." This was a perfect response, especially the last part. It also killed me to read that part where OP said, "My dad refuses to help because he's always disappointed in him." I would hate to be a part of this family. It was in response to OP's belief that her children will somehow suffer if they go on a cheap vacation. If she's for real, and only 27, there is no way those kids are old enough to even understand what's happening or where they're going. They would understand a cool aunt and uncle who are probably great storytellers and know a lot of fun drama games to play with them. G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down to the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.